Oh, I mean, I saw the really cool bridges that were like the ones in Harry Potter when I went to London. Like, I was like, oh, this is the one the Dementors destroyed. Like, that was a pretty cool bridge.
I thought you were talking about the staircases.
Oh no! Yeah, I mean,
that's my favorite
I
staircase.
did go to a church, like church college. They got a lot of church colleges out in England. That was like some of the filming scenes for like the wizard prom, the Yule Ball. Those staircases when like Hermione comes down, like that was the staircase. And all my friends were like, let's take pictures on the Hermione staircase. Anyways, it's Wednesday. It's New Comic Book Day. Hey everybody, I'm Amy.
And I'm Paul.
And this is the Comics Haul.
What up? We're back, son.
Why does it feel like we haven't done this in a million years?
Because it's been a full month. Like, this is the first time that we've had, I think, the full run of us not having a show.
Yeah, since we switched to our monthly format once a month, and we have had some members of the local comic society ask, hey, where's your show? We are once a month with special events accepting. So we'll have another show later this month. We'll get into that in a little bit. First up, it is a new Comic Book Wednesday. It's also smack dab in the middle of Sideshow New York Con. It is Wednesday, October 6th. There are a lot of books to get through. We're going to be running you guys through some of the October books we are most looking forward to. We're going to have a little bit of a shorter show today. I say that now. God willing, we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
It's us. Alex is going to turn off that stream. He's going to turn it off when we hit time.
And in person, Rob's here as well. Let's see your hand, Rob.
There you go.
There he is. Oh, look, we're matching. Amy just needs to unblock me on AIM. That's all that needs to happen.
There was a memo involved.
There was.
I'm just saying me maybe that. So it's like
Tiebreaker?
All right, Autumn, get down here. But in the meantime, we got lots to go over. We're going to be, again, telling you guys what we're excited about this month, and we'll check in with you guys later this month about some spooktacular themed stuff. But first up, I mean, Sideshow New York Con. We just had the booth tour for today. We're going to have an all-request tour tomorrow if you guys missed any of that. Also, if you missed day 1 and 2, we have the booth tour and the all-request stream recorded on our YouTube channels. You can still register for the event at side.show/NYCC. You want to tell them a little bit about that?
Yes. So, again, you can still register, as Amy said, side.show/NYCC right there. Thank you. You can get $5 in Sideshow rewards, as well as exclusive giveaway opportunities and exclusive reward code opportunities.
Thanks, Autumn. We can count on you.
Thanks, Autumn. Ever the professional. So it is still not too late to register. I think you do have until today. I don't think you can register after tomorrow.
Yeah, because tomorrow is the last of our booth shenanigans, booth-related shenanigans. But as the official convention kicks off this weekend, with the Thursday and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you guys are going to be there in person, you don't have to worry about missing any of our live booth content, but there's going to be stuff still going on social media, and you can always check out the photos from this week on our social media pages as well. Yep.
Sideshow New York Con ends tomorrow, but the New York Comic Con shenanigans carry on through the weekend for everyone. All right. Again, we've got a show immediately after this, right in these seats. So we've got to get going to a segment we like to call Pulling Ahead, where we talk about the books that we are.
Do you want to do this real quick? We got We've got a teensy bit of comic book news.
Oh, we do.
Real fast up first. This is what happens, guys. This is what happens.
Day 3.
We just wanted to, apart from the news that Sideshow New York Con, I mean, there's nothing else going on, but we wanted to let you guys know about a couple of comic book movies and shows that you may be looking forward to, and just remind you that you can always pick up books related to them at your local comic book store. First up, of course, we've already had the release of Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
Yep.
If you have you seen that film, or you want to get some reading in before you go and see it, highly recommend especially the latest, the Donny Cates Venom series. Marvel's starting a new Venom series later this month. But if you want to check that out, the Donny Cates Venom has a great evolution of the symbiote relationship that's reflected a lot in the film. There's also the Absolute Carnage event. And then there's decades worth of Venom and Carnage out there. Lethal Protector, there was also Maximum Carnage.
Carnage, the original one. Yeah. And then you had King in Black that just happened. Again, a huge Venom renaissance that is happening right now. We love to see it.
The Venaissance.
The Renaissance. Yes. I mean, there's tons of stuff out there to read. A lot of that is available on Marvel Unlimited. Again, or go to your LCS, your local comic book shop, and get some of those trades. They do exist right now.
And most stores worth their salt probably actually have a Venom display set up. Like, hey, did you like Venom? Like, here's some more stuff.
They should be. $9.99.
Depends on where you go. and Who You Ask. And then later in this month, we have 2 releases coming out on October 22nd. First up, we've got Lock and Key Season 2 hitting.
Yes.
And the only book we can recommend to you for reading that is more Lock and Key. So
Lock and Key, everyone.
That's the beauty of a creator-owned or an independent title. You just walk in and you ask for that title. So just look for Lock and Key. It's a continuation of the story. Check out the graphic novel and you're all set. And then we've got Dune, the long-awaited Dune. And if you guys want to check out comic books about that, there actually are some, and they're pretty recent. We've got Dune House Atreides from Boom Studios. I believe that series is a good number.
You covered that on the show.
Yeah, we've covered it previously. And later this month, or I think next month, they're launching a Harkonnen family. So we've got the House Atreides. And I don't think it's House Harkonnen, but it's kind of the Baron and his side of things. So there's going to be another kind of Dune prequel series. If you're really interested in that. But otherwise, I mean, that one's a real book that we can recommend you. It's a long read, so you better get started. But
I've checked, and there are no pictures in that book.
I'm sorry. Dune
I put it right back.
All right, Paul, now for the segment that you jumped ahead to.
It's time for some comic book news.
Damn it.
Pulling ahead. We're pulling ahead.
We
everyone.
are pulling ahead. This is a look at the whole month coming up, including today. I know it's never too late to go to your store and pick up books, but we've got a lot of great releases that you should be keeping an eye out for.
Yeah. Now, some of these you can also, some of the FOC dates, which means the final order cutoff date, which is the last date that you can reserve some of these books. It may have passed on a few of these books. Some of the later ones, I think you should be okay. Or if you can, just ask your shop, put it in your pull list and say, if it's possible, can you guys please put this in my pull when it gets in?
Yeah,
much like that.
Quick explainer on FOC. And you guys may see that Mad Cave Studios recently has joined the FOC program. So there is kind of a way that these things are organized. Final order cutoff is the last day for stores to have their orders in to tell a publisher, this is the confirmed amount that we know that people want. People want this many at our store, plus however many shelf copies they're going to order. The publisher gets all those numbers from the orders and goes, okay, so let's say there's 8,500 orders across the states for this book. We're going to print 10,000 copies and see how that sells. From the extra that they print above what's reserved, your store can reorder after FOC, but it's not guaranteed because that little extra bit is supposed to serve every store. Now it's like if people come back and if it's a surprise hit and they need to order more, they pull from that extra reserve the publisher does. And then when that all sells out at the distributor level, that's when a publisher can say, hey, this was selling like hotcakes. Let's go to a second printing. Let's go to a third printing. Or we've still got plenty of the first printing available. We're not going to reprint. So final order cutoff is like guaranteed. You can still order a book after the fact, but it's a little, you're leaving it up to chance.
You are rolling the dice a little bit more with that way. But yeah, you can always ask. You can always find most of these publishers. Again, we always say the best way to find out about some of these books is to follow some of the publishers, some of the creators that you love. Follow them on, honestly, follow them on Twitter is usually the best place.
Yeah.
We recommend we follow a ton of people on Twitter.
Is the kind of hot space for comic book publishers and creative talent advertising their own stuff right now.
Twitter saw it first, almost always. All right. It's time to get into pulling ahead. These are some books that, again, we are going to be going over today because today is New Comic Book Day. Some books that are out today. Thank you, Alex. And then, of course, for the rest of the month. Amy, you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. So Paul and I each have a title that we want to focus and let you guys know that you definitely don't want to miss. And we'll mention some other notable titles. But first up, we've got the Wonder Woman 80th Anniversary 100-page spectacular #1 from DC Comics. Oh, it's so, I just love pictures like this. I love pictures with civilians and superheroes, and you can see some of the other Amazons in the mix.
She's looking in the front, like right down there. She's wearing a Wonder Woman shirt.
Yeah.
And just like all of the various generations.
We've got
everyone
Nubia up here and Hippolyta over on the side, and just lots of great, all the different types of people who have been impacted, of course, by Wonder Woman. Now, this is one of those anthology stories where a lot of different creators get together and tell different stories that are not necessarily like part of the continuation of the current Wonder Woman series. So you can pick this up and enjoy it alone. Writers include Jordi Belair, Vita Ayala, Mark Waid, Becky Cloonan, and Steve Orlando, G. Willow Wilson, Tom King, Stephanie Phillips, and Michael Conrad. Artists include Amy Reeder, Joe Prado, Marcio Takara, Jim Chung, Laura Braga, Isaac Goodhart, Evan Shaner, Megan Hetrick, and more. There's even more colorists and letterers on the book as well. I wasn't able to track down all of their names before we got our show notes in today, but it is such a celebration of the character and the talent. A lot of people who have worked on the character before are getting a chance to tell these stories in this volume. And I just love these publications by DC, these one-shot specials.
These huge anthologies are great because if you're going in and you're buying this book because of the title there, you are a fan of Wonder Woman. There is definitely a story in here for you. I mean, almost all
Anonymous Dude 123. She looks great for 80. Yeah,
I'd give anything to look that good.
Whatever they're doing over on Themyscira really works for them.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, these are so much fun. And again, I love having just like a murderer's row of incredible artists and writers on books like this.
Yes. And for the uninitiated, the phrase murderer's row is actually a complimentary thing. Like it just means like it's
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Like it's meant to, I mean, it's colloquially used as like this is a top tier talent. It does sound really sinister.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've got.
I think you're reacting to the face that I made. It's called murderers.
We've got
face of the internet.
We'll have real murderers rows later in the month as well as we get towards Halloween time. But there's more this week. Paul, what else have we got?
We have got a righteous thirst for vengeance, not just
like
me and Amy.
Like, wow.
But we've got the comic here. This is by Rick Remender and Andre Lima Araujo. Again, this is by Image Comics. Now, this is a fascinating book. It is solicited as a mix of The Professional meets Road to Perdition, which I do see that, but it is also very I hate to use the comparison all the time, but like very John Wick-esque, where you've got someone who is, I mean, John Wick is by no means unassuming, like he is a badass, and like you find that out, throughout the movie. But it is, sort of a David and Goliath, like this person that you've got here. We've got the main character. I don't have it with me. I haven't read it. My pool is currently waiting for me at my local comic shop, but essentially he stumbles on a dark web contract on accident, and he has to protect a young woman from essentially this group of elite people who are just running these types of games for fun. It's really, really exciting. I've mentioned multiple times, like I love Rick Remender. Again, Andre Araujo did a little bit of the work on, I think, the latter half of Deadly Class, but again, this is essentially, Rick Remender at his best when he does these sort of boots on the ground stories of vengeance and sort of world building. Rick Remender really shines. Like if you are familiar with like the storytelling that he did in Black Science, very similar, or what I feel will be is like you are dropped in the middle of this world while it's already sort of happening at 100 miles an hour. I'm super excited for this. Again, Rick Remender has been singing its praises. I mean, he wrote it, but he's been singing his own praises and being very excited for it for quite a while now. So, and the art looks beautiful. Araujo does a great job. Again, that's out now. It's $3.99. That's by Image. You should have no problem getting that book. It should be readily available right now.
Yeah, my local store had a nice little display for it because it is one of the larger releases this week. I mean, it's high profile title, a great publisher, and creators to boot. So there are some other interesting comics we wanted to call out this week, but these are just kind of quick features. We've got the Amazing Spider-Man 75. This is also actually an anthology kind of Spider-Man storytelling series. We've got Kelly Thompson taking on Spider-Man in this issue, as well as some other creators if you're interested in that. We've got Are You Afraid of Darkseid? That's another DC one-shot with Robin and other characters from the DC universe telling like scary stories involving some of the unconventional villains. I know there's a Batman and Mad Hatter story in there, but it's like the cover is so cute.
It's like a campfire scary story type of deal. Super stoked for that. And yes, you should be afraid of Darkseid.
Then we've also got Eternals Celestia #1, not to be confused with Princess Celestia of My Little Pony. This is a continuation of what's next for the Eternals in Kieran Gillen's reimagining of their whole mythos, and that series has just been doing so well so far. And again, we've got their movie coming out next month, so if you'd like to see where that's headed, jump on that. Then we've got Arkham City, The Order of the World #1 from DC Comics. I'm actually not familiar with this one. It's not.
So this is a book. Again, you know me, always prepared. I don't have the creative team directly in front of me, but I do know that it is spinning relatively out of James Tynan's current run on it. So as far as if you can just jump into it and read it, always yes with this particular book, because it is sort of about the capital like a Arkham and how, you know, it interacts with Gotham, but it does take place in something that happened called A Day, which again, it's not really a spoiler, but the Joker poisoned a ton of people and stuff happened in Arkham City.
You know, AJ was a bad thing in the Avengers video game too. It's just like,
Oh, it sure was.
just not, that doesn't sound like a
Yeah.
good day for anything.
Just move on to the next letter. Yeah. B Day.
Alex Day.
Yeah, we celebrate B days. Those are birthdays. That's fun. But yeah, so it's essentially exploring that world a little bit more, but it does stand alone on its own. So if you're not reading James Tynion's run, you should be, because it is fantastic, and it is also wrapping up very soon. But yeah, you don't need to read it at all if you want to just jump into this particular story and enjoy
Wow,
it.
are you not recommending a comics?
Hey,
you don't have to read comic books at all.
I'm practical.
And then finally, an unconventional release, but for people who like humor and comedy, we've got Chicken Devil #1 from Aftershock Comics. And this is a comedy thriller that takes place in the world of fast food, as a young man's family is indebted to the Russian mob, and they own a hot wings joint, and he has to take on the mantle of the Chicken Devil to fight back.
Nice. Boom. Sold it.
There should be a lot of interesting variants for that one too, I think.
Yeah, you're greenlit. Let's do it.
All right.
Let's get on this project. I do also want to shout out for DC Comics from their horror line, Soul Plumber #1. It is a story written by the team that does the last podcast on the left, and is the first comic book that they've ever done. And I am a huge fan of that podcast and some of their live content. This is the first book they've done, and I know that Marcus, one of the guys that did as a huge comic book reader, like was just rereading Sandman and everything to get in the sort of storytelling mode for this. So it's just essentially saying, like, how can we streamline exorcisms? Boy, do we've got a plumber for you. So that's essentially how we can solicit that.
All right. Well, that does it for this week. If you've already picked up your books, go ahead and shout out what you did pick up this week. I know that I've got more Nice House on the Lake, and I'm like taking all my willpower. Nice House on the Lake and The Me You Love in the Dark.
Me You Love in the Dark. Scotty Young. Yeah.
Those are two of my favorites right now. But let us know what you've picked up this week, or what you may pick up after these titles we've all just covered here. But next week, October 13th, we've got another couple of interesting announcements. You want to take the DC Comics?
So up first, we've got Batman, the Imposter. Now, this is by Mattson Tomlin, Andre Sorrentino, and Jordi Belair. Again, another crack team on this, man. Like, it's going to look so beautiful. This is an interesting story. It's kind of been shrouded in mystery. I know Jordi Belair had put it on their Twitter, and I wasn't necessarily sure, like, what is this at all. And then Mattson Tomlin, who I'm not very familiar with, had dropped, just like notes and scripts about what this is. It's a second, essentially, there is another Batman that is hunting down the villains of Gotham City, essentially doing what is basically the biggest criticism that everyone has of Batman, is like, if you would just kill these villains, you would save so many more lives. But then if, as Batman says, if you kill a murderer, the amount of murderers in Gotham only goes up.
Yeah.
Boom. Batman dropped. I think that's actually Scott Snyder. But yeah, so it's someone who has become an imposter. They are taking on the mantle. They somehow have a suit that is Batman's. And Mattson Tomlin has assured us, which I haven't read this yet, that it will not be someone in the Bat family, who has it. So he's like, I promise you, there's no easy out. It's not someone in the Bat family. So Batman the Imposter out next week. Again, go ask your local comic shop. Have them put in your pool for you. It's going to be great. Or you can always read it digitally on Tuesday, because DC releases their books on Tuesday.
Yes, that is true. And some of these stores get their shipments at different times. But yeah, DC books now come out on Tuesdays, but we're just lumping everything into the wonderful Wednesday. They do say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So I think Batman should just be cool with it.
I'm sure he's super cool with it. Batman.
He's known for being just the most
chill. Yeah.
Anyways, up next, I'm very excited. We've got to release World of Darkness #1 from Vault Comics. Now, this, despite the title, World of Darkness Crimson Thaw, this is not an entirely new #1. This is a continuation of the Vampire the Masquerade series, which I believe has come to a temporary conclusion, if not complete. But this should actually still be a jumping on point for people, because this is introducing us to the World of Darkness is the RPG system from which Vampire the Masquerade spawns, as well as Werewolf the Apocalypse. And I am so excited because this has the Vampire team, Tim Seeley, Teenie and Blake Howard. I like that the way I said that it implies that they're vampires. I'm not unconvinced that Teenie Howard's not a vampire.
We don't know for
but
sure.
the Vampire the Masquerade team of Tim Seeley, Teenie, and Blake Howard. And then we've got newcomers, Danny Lore and Jim Zub, and they will be tackling the werewolf aspects of this. Danny Lore is also the writer behind Vault's upcoming Lunar Room, which is the werewolf mafia hitwoman story.
All good words.
They are such a werewolf fan, and so I'm excited to see Vault bringing them on to this. And then we've got art by Julius Ota and colors by Addison Duke and lettering by And World Design. And so this is the last 10 issues of Vampire the Masquerade have been the challenge and rise and fall of the Twin Cities vampire. I kind of forget what the official term is, but in that world, like the Masquerade is them hiding from society, but like they've got not a monarchy. They've got their leader who's a prince, and then the like it's like a vampire mafia essentially, and they've caused enough.
Cool word there, yeah.
They've caused enough of a mess that they've gotten the attention of human hunters. But now, as Cecily Bain, the main character of Vampire the Masquerade, steps up to become the new prince of the Twin Cities, she's gonna have to deal with the wolves at the door because werewolves are encroaching in on their sacred spaces. So I'm super excited about this. These books also include, if you're reading along or you're not, you should check this out. Includes supplemental role-playing game material for VTM and Werewolf the Apocalypse to incorporate these characters and ideas that are featured in the comic into your own game. So it's kind of like a homebrew, but it follows the official gaming system. So I think that's...
I mean, do you think people can just probably jump into that book?
I think with the werewolf one, I think they're going to do enough of a job of explaining what's going on with that you should be able to make an easy transition, because we're going to have a whole new cast with the werewolves who are showing up. And they'll probably sum up the last 10 issues of Vampire the Masquerade pretty neatly for you. But I'm super excited about that one, and it's going to be a limited series. That one, I think it's 3 larger issues, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, you've been reading almost all of that. Like everything that Vault has produced, you've at least collected and also brought onto the show.
Yes. Call me Vault. No, but I think as someone who hasn't had a chance to play Vampire the Masquerade in full, I have had the best time just reading about this this story, and the lore is so rich between all the different vampire clans and all of that. But there are lots of other books coming out next week as well. We've got some interesting ones. We've got a #1 with Eternals Forever from Marvel Comics, and then we've got a conclusion with Immortal Hulk #50. That's it. Guys, if you were on the whole Immortal Hulk series from start to finish, shout it out. That was one of those ones that I was like, how long is this series going to be? But this has been one of the most recent things I can remember of a Marvel series getting to 50 issues.
And it feels like we were just covering Immortal Hulk 1. Like, I think we've actually been a show as long as it's been going.
Huh.
Yeah.
Good for us.
Good for us. We outlived the Hulk.
Ooh, and he was apparently immortal. I mean, come on, buddy.
Immortal Comics Hall is what I'm saying. Rebranding.
All right. And then we've also got Star Wars: The High Republic, Trail of Shadows, another addition to that awesome universe that Marvel Comics is crafting there. And then we've got the Miss Marvel Tales #1 from Marvel Comics. If you guys are missing seeing Kamala Khan, she hasn't been in a ton of books recently apart from Champions. She's going to be getting a new series ahead of the television show that's coming out later this year. But there's going to be a standalone one-shot tale with her for Marvel Tales #1.
Yep.
Excellent.
All right. So that'll wrap it for October 13th. We are now moving to week 3, coming up on Halloween Junior.
Halloween Eve.
Halloween Eve. We're now talking the week of October 30th. Amy, you want to take the first one?
Yeah, I think we should also specify last month our show was supersized because September had 5 Wednesdays. That was huge. And you might have noticed how the publishing got weird at the end of the month. Like, not as many books between the last 2 weeks.
Did.
This is a nice, tight 4-week month, and I am so excited. We've got Phoenix Song Echo #1 from Marvel Comics, written by Rebecca Rowanhorse with art by Luca Maresca. I am so excited. This is going to be a 5-issue miniseries taking on a look at Maya Lopez, who, I think is set to debut in the Hawkeye series. So if you guys are interested in learning a little bit more about Echo, I don't think we're going to see her as the Phoenix in the TV series, but you never know.
You heard it. Amy confirmed it.
Hawkeye says, look, Maya, you got to get with the bird theme here. She goes, okay, I'll go get out with the
Boom,
Phoenix Force.
Phoenix.
But she is, as of Jason Aaron's Avengers, the new wielder of the Phoenix Force, and we're
Mhm.
going to get to see her explore what that means. We've only seen little hints and teases of it throughout Heroes Reborn
Yep.
and the recent Avengers issues. But I am so excited because Rebecca Rowanhorse is one of my favorite fiction writers to date. She is a Native American writer. She was in the Indigenous Voices, Marvel's Voices
So
anthology, and I am just so excited to get to see her tackle a Native character as well. And like, I'm going to make a plug for her book series. She's got the Sixth World series with Trail of Lightning, which is like one of my favorite Monster Hunter. I mean, you guys know me. I love Monster Hunter.
I like a Monster Hunter.
Such an amazing fantasy apocalyptic series. So if you like what you see with Phoenix Song Echo, I highly encourage you to check out the Sixth World
Definitely.
novels. I love seeing people make the crosses from the fiction writing to she's writing comics for Marvel. I'm very excited about this one.
And I love because I'm not someone who is, again, I predominantly associate Phoenix with the X-Men. And
Echo with Daredevil.
Exactly. And they've sort of merged these two corners of the Marvel universe that I'm not very familiar with. And I got to see it all unfold in Jason Aaron's current Avenger run. And it's been great. It's kind of made me excited to go back and see like, oh, okay, so what's been the Phoenix's journey? And it's had quite a journey to get to this point.
And now Phoenix is maybe Thor's mom. We had a confirmation of that in the recent issue from Donny Cates of Thor. I was like, when's he going to acknowledge that the Phoenix called Thor's son? Like, Mike, if we're talking Phoenix Song Echo, that's going to be a 5-issue miniseries. If we're talking World of Darkness, I believe that's a 3-issue series, but Phoenix Song Echo is going to be 5.
Nice.
All right. And yeah, I'm just super excited about this one. So.
All right. And up next, we have another story that I am super stoked for. This is Nubia and the Amazons. Of course, this is by DC Comics. So technically, this is out the 19th. Right?
Yeah, technically it's the 19th.
But you can get it on
always on a technicality.
On the 20th. Again, this follows, I think, I think probably as close to, like, the only person that's gotten close to Diana for me, as far as like the idealistic Wonder Woman. And I've loved him. I think I remember first seeing Nubia in a Gary Duggan Justice League back half story.
Okay.
And it was sort of Gary Duggan had done an interview and saying like, she's such an important character, I almost didn't include her because I didn't know how to not make her be the focal point. And of course it totally shows in like stories like this. So this is Vita Ayala, Stephanie Williams, Aletha Martinez, and Mark Morales on inks. We've got a Maika Sozo variant cover that is coming as well. I believe this particular cover artist, this is Aletha Martinez. I mean, now it's just incredible. I mean, there have been in the DC universe currently, there have been tons of new Amazonians going, from Themyscira and going, into the world of man.
Yeah, and we've seen with Yara Flor and the Amazons of Bana Migdal, and then we've got the Themyscirans and all of these different places where the Amazon lore is really expanding here. But of course, Nubia has been around for quite a long time. She was also the feature of a young adult graphic novel that came out earlier this year. I forget what that one was called though. I will look it up really fast. But she's been around and celebrating 80 years of Wonder Woman. You can't leave out such an important character as her sister in this way.
Yeah, I mean, Nubia has become, I think one of the pillars of, Wonder Woman as a brand. I mean, she sort of represents it as idealistically as Diana would, I think. And, even adding to the fact that she's believe it or not, she's a little more vicious than Diana can be, which I absolutely love, which is why she, like in this story, you guys will see it be explained. She is the guardian of the Doom's doorway. And, and
that sounds like an easy job.
Yeah, not fun. No, it's not like being a bouncer out here at all. So she is the guardian of that. You get to see how she got that job and what that job means currently with Themyscira totally changing now and having so many, actually allowing male bureaucrats to come in and trade, and it's like it just completely blows the mind of traditional Themyscirans, and Nubia is at the forefront of that. So I mean, this is a huge story if you are a fan of the character.
Yes, and I got that the young adult graphic novel was Nubia, Real One, and that's by L.L. Kinney. So next week, this is 2 weeks out, we have some more interesting stories. A lot of new #1s coming out at this point in the month. We'll have Gunslinger Spawn from Image Comics. So if you guys are liking the return of Spawn and King Spawn, we've got Gunslinger Spawn.
Nice.
Then we're gonna have Batman: The Long Halloween Special #1. I don't know if is that a reprint or is
no. So it's another story. That it's like it's a newer small story. I have the actual page count here. It's about 48 pages. 25 years ago, you thought you knew the whole story of Batman: The Long Halloween, but
You're right. I did think I knew the whole story,
and now you don't. Thank you, solicitation. That's right in front of my eyes here. So Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale are returning for this book.
Oh, wow.
And they are telling a new story within that universe.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, it is a Long Halloween Batman special. So, I mean, obviously some of the material will be sort of, I don't like to use the word recycled, but essentially what they're doing is stitching in new material into the material that you know.
Ooh, like
so
extended.
Yes, that's like a director's cut essentially. So I'm super stoked for that. And, you know, it's been such a long time, and you know, with the movie coming out or the digital animated movie coming out that went to HBO Max, like it's the perfect time for it.
Yeah, and it's almost right before Halloween.
It is, yes.
We've also got from DC Comics, Catwoman: Lonely City #1. We're getting a new Catwoman series going on, and then we've got Critical Role: The Tales of Exandria, the Bright Queen #1. So this is part of an anthology series that they're going to be doing because we've had Vox Machina Origins. We're getting the Mighty Nine Origins coming up next. But outside of the roles of the two teams, we haven't really gotten to explore the other characters of Exandria. So we're going to get, I think there's going to be multiple issues of the Bright Queen, but this is exploring the Kryn dynasty and their importance in the Vox Machina story. So I'm very excited about that we're getting even more characters, and as their lore continues to expand, Critical Role is putting out more and more information compendiums. They're going to do a History of Exandria official video before the new campaign hits, or I believe before the new campaign hits, probably sometime around then, to help fans actually like go, okay, how do we start getting all of this information all together? Because I mean, even as a D&D player, like
there's still so much.
We have to ask our own DMs sometimes, like, hey, I forgot like the lore, like why are we fighting this other continent? So we've got a cool expansion on the Critical Role story. So you guys can check that out from Dark Horse Comics. Nice. And then finally, the week 4 that everybody is waiting for, October 27th, is jam and slam packed with tons of horror comics.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and just crazy stuff.
You know, before we go to there is one more comic that's coming out the 19th, 20th. Is Refrigerator Full of Heads.
Oh, that's right.
It is a return to Basket Full of Heads by Hill House Comics.
With more heads.
With more heads. Yeah, essentially you're returning to, you know, I think it's Brady Island or Brody Island. And honestly, the best way and so this takes place before, sort of. Again, you got to read the story, but the best way I can explain this is like, if you are currently watching Midnight Mass and you like that show, imagine they put zombies in that show. And a serial killer, completely unrelated. It is so much fun, and they are returning. It's the same, almost the same team. I think Jim Flower is going to be back for the art, and Rio Yoris is back writing the book. So very excited for that. Sorry, now
no worries.
Last week of,
we're going to start with a blockbuster comic that, as we brought to you in an earlier show, has broken, or maybe just on maybe in our local comic society. I don't remember when this news broke.
Yeah.
Broken all pre-order kind of records for Boom Studios apart from Berserker. So it is the most high-selling Boom Studios comic that doesn't have Keanu Reeves attached to it yet. We've got House of Slaughter #1. This is going to be a spin-off of the wildly successful, almost a runaway hit, Something is Killing the Children. And we are going to get to see the kind of the place in, I know, that's Chris Sheehan, who also just came off of just a freaking victory lap of the autumnal for Vault Comics, which is one of the
trade papers out now.
Best horror comics you could read this season. Also, check out the autumnal because Amazon won't let them advertise it. Amazon said the cover was too scary, and Amazon said you couldn't handle it, so they wouldn't let them advertise it. And it still ended up being like in the top 10 of graphic novels.
It's true, you can't handle it, but you still should try.
Your local comic book store trusts you, so if you want to order through your local comic book store.
My mom said it's okay.
Yeah. She says I'm a big, brave boy. But we're going to get to see the place in which Erica Slaughter was forged. We're getting some of that prequel in the current arc, but we're going to get to kind of see into that that organization that
Yeah.
trains them up. And we've got, and I forget his name because I'm still catching up on the trades, but
Oh, I'm still catching up as
okay.
well. Yeah.
But we're going to be taking kind of a prequel look at
Okay.
at this character who, wow, I thought you would have helped me out there, but
No, I am so far behind. I've gotten through, I think, the first 12 issues.
okay.
Yeah.
But it's going to be the inner workings of the order that created her. Oh, Aaron Slaughter, that's his name.
Oh, Aaron.
He's the handler, he's the rival, but we're gonna get a lot of his own backstory too, and it's just adding a lot of lore to this story that could have easily ended without a lot of additional fan interest, and now it's so called for that the creative team of James Tynan IV and Tate Bromball on writing, and artists Werther Deladera and Chris Sheehan on art are going to be taking us further into the House of Slaughter. There's also going to be a foil variant for this one if you're playing along at home.
You know how Boom likes those foil variants.
I think it's
Alex
red.
Aronowitz
I think it's red.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, and then a really big release that we want to make sure you guys know about because we're super excited. We're going to be doing a show that week. We're not going to be featuring the week's books necessarily like in our usual show format, but a graphic novel is coming out from Mad Cave Studios. This is the Grim Tales from the Cave. This is a really huge effort that they've been putting together to, first of all, reimagine Grimm's fairy tales, which if you're not familiar with Grimm's fairy tales, those are pretty messed up to begin with.
They are, yes.
They're really dark, but they've assembled some of the hottest independent talent, plus the winners of their talent search from last year, one of whom they just interviewed today on Twitch. It was Mario Candelaria for Weft, which was the take on Rapunzel in that story. But we're so excited about this book because we're going to get to interview one of the creative teams behind one of these Grimm tales.
Yes.
You want to tell them a little bit more about what we're doing?
So we've got the okay, let's see. Where do we have the names here?
Yes.
There they are. Yes, thank you.
So we are
I know, I'm so sorry. We're interviewing Chrisabella Val, Halverson, and Micah Myers on October 27th during the Comics Hall. That is the first half of the show. Now we are super stoked for that because they are joining us together, one big party.
One comic book hive mind.
Yeah, and they wrote, I believe it'll probably run the exact
Carlos
same
Marcus,
way.
You're not wrong.
Absolutely not. It's also in the theme of Halloween, a nightmare to find some of the English translations of some of these.
Yeah, some of the really old and obscure ones.
We tried. It's hard.
You guys may know Christopher Sabella he's the writer behind Pantomime for Mad Cave as well. He's also doing the smash hit with Image Crowded, which is the crowdfunding assassination comic. He's also done Welcome Back as well as a number of other comics. You might recognize Val Halverson as a fan favorite of the Comics Hall. He did Finger Guns with Justin Richard. He's the artist who did Finger Guns from Vault Comics, one of my personal favorites of the last couple of years. And then Micah Myers is a letterer extraordinaire, and we'll be super excited to get his perspective. Who's
hung out in our chats before.
Yeah,
we're like, you know what?
Chats and
get in here.
He and Justin Birch, I think, did all of the lettering for this entire graphic novel project. So we're going to get to ask them some questions about the creation process. And the fairy tale that they specifically adapted was The Tailor Who Would Soon Become Rich, and they've taken that in a modernized spin. We'll let you guys get to see that a little bit more on that show. Good. It is so cool. But I do want to call out for the Grimm Tales from the Cave, the whole creative, whole bunch of people. So bear with me. Writers include Cullen Bunn, Mark London, Stephanie Phillips, Shay Grayson, Nadia Shamas, Christopher Sabella, Anthony Cleveland, Melissa White, Dalton Deshawn, Chuck Harp, and Mario Candelaria. And Dalton, Chuck, and Mario were their talent search winners last year. And then we have art by Andrea Moody, Luisa Rosso, Rowan McCall, Mon House, Cecilia Lovalvo, Shane Connery Volk, Val Halverson, Rio Burton, Ho Sang Hui, Nicholas Falutico. Sorry, this is so many names. And David Escobar. And then we've got colors.
All of them, though.
Colors by Joanna Lafuente, Roman Stevens, Luca Romano, Giorgio Spalletta, Allison Hu, and then letters by Micah Myers and Justin Birch. So that is the entirety of this amazing book you can expect. I think it's over 100 pages.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, easy.
Well over 100 pages. That'll be out on the 27th. I think you can still pre-order. If you can't get it from your local comic book store, it is available directly from Mad Cave Studios, so you can order from their website. Have that ready, maybe even read along when we are doing the interview. But we're so excited about that. And I mean, it's hard to explain some of the fairy tales in there because they're
It
not
is.
as many of the well-known ones, but you guys are gonna have so much fun, I think, reading that volume, and I'm so excited that we're gonna get to like pick the brains of some of the creators for that.
Yeah, and a huge thank you to Matt K for allowing us to read that a little bit early, because guys, it is such a good book. And one of the things I love about any type of anthology, like I mentioned earlier with the Wonder Woman story, and that the Are You Afraid of Darkseid? There's a story for everyone, like especially with the Grim Tales from the Cave in this one. Like there is like they cover quite a few genres, even taking some of these stories that you do know from the Grim Fairy Tales and spinning it maybe modern or sort of going back to the source.
Yeah, there's definitely some very modernized interpretations. We've got some post-apocalypse, there's some romance stories, and then we do have some that are set in the classic era that these fairy tales were invented in, but they are recontextualized with even more messed up visuals. And some of those names included on that list are creators from other Mad Cave titles like Woven Heart, from Nottingham as well. And then we've had Andrea Moody for the Maniac of New York from Aftershock Comics. And then Chris Sanchez, who we got to interview previously on a previous show, was an editor for this project.
Yeah,
so
for
it's
the
just
project.
We're very grateful to have a chance to take a look at this, and then Mad Cave facilitating this interview. So we hope to see you guys all there. That will be our 4 o'clock time slot on October 27th for Spooktacular. We will be covering that, and then maybe if we have time after that awesome interview, we'll talk some more Halloween horror books with you guys.
Me and Amy never have anything to talk about.
We never run out of recommendations, but there are even more titles coming out that week. We're going to run through them real quickly. So we get Woven Heart number 8 returning from Mad Cave Studios. This one I'm actually really enjoying this one. It's like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but with vampires and werewolves and zombies. And so there's like, you're like, hey, I'm a famous monster hunter throughout time, but also here's my friend Nikola Tesla, and also Joan of Arc is hanging out over there.
Just casually name dropping Nikola Tesla.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's in it. It's a lot of fun. It's a time traveling supernatural story of monster hunters and the historical cohorts that they have over time. Then we've got the new Venom number 1 from Marvel Comics. We've also got DC versus Vampires.
Oh, I'm so excited.
DC versus Vampires from DC Comics. Then we've got a couple of horror titles from Vault. We've got Radio Apocalypse, which is going to be a post-apocalyptic one that deals with radio waves and transmission signals. And then we've got The Rush from Vault Comics, which is actually an acronym for This Hungry Earth Reddens Under Snow-Clad Hills. And that is a horror western. I know, every time I see that title, This Hungry Earth Reddens Under Snow-Clad Hills. But that's also The Rush. So we've got a supernatural western. And then we've got After Dark from
After
Aftershock
Dark.
Comics.
Yeah. I love Aftershock. I mean, there's so many great books that they've put out, but I also want to mention Task Force Z that is also coming out by DC Comics.
Is that a zombie thing?
That's this one.
Ooh,
that's the one it's also Matthew Rosenberg is going to be doing quite a bit that last week. He is on the DC versus Vampires with James Tynion IV, but he is also penning and plotting the entire I think the entire story for Task Force Z. I should say he's not doing the art. Penning as in like he's doing some of the dialogue as well.
You better get started.
Yeah, you better hurry. Eddie Barrows, Eber Ferreira, and tons of great people on the team. And that's anyone who has died in DC Comics is being sort of brought back like a undead Suicide Squad.
I was gonna say it's like the reverse of a Suicide Squad. The Homicide Squad.
The Homicide Squad. Your SVU. Super stoked for that book. I mean, I love anytime like DC honestly has been killing it with their horror stuff lately. If you can, if you're in the mood for spooky season, go read the Conjuring comic that was out.
Yeah, The Conjuring the Lovers.
Conjuring the Lovers. Yeah, it was. It's such a fun book, and it does horror really, really well. And then again, as we mentioned, go read The Autumnal.
Yes, please go read The Autumnal. This is a great month, and I love that. I mean, I wouldn't say it starts slow. It just starts differently. We've got our typical superhero fare mixed in with other stuff, and then right at the end, we've got Venom, we've got vampires, we've got all of that crazy stuff hitting at the end. Now, we have reached the end of our October highlights. We aren't going to finish completely in 45 minutes, but we've done a great job keeping on time.
We did pretty good.
On task. We did, there's I'm considering this one a win for us. But we wanted to just thank you guys for joining us in the middle of this busy event week. We hope you guys have been having so much fun. Don't forget, we will have the Spooktacular show, the interview with Mad Cave. We've got Christopher Sabella, who's a writer, Val Halverson, the artist, and Micah Myers, the letterer. You guys aren't going to want to miss that. That's a rare treat to have an entire creative team behind a book or behind a story. Pre-order or order directly from Mad Cave, the Grim Tales from the Cave anthology, so you guys know what the heck we're talking about when we cover that. And we will see you guys for those spooky titles. In the meantime, we've got our wrap-up show for today's Sideshow New York Con Day at 5 p.m. in this room. We're probably just going to turn off the stream and immediately turn it back on. But you guys want to stay here for that. And then tomorrow, you've got the All Request Tour at 11 a.m. Pacific time. If you guys missed anything from the booth tour today or you wanted to see something more in-depth, Paul and Guy Klender are going to take you on your own personal close-up walkthrough of that amazing booth. Just don't look too close at Leatherface because he's
very scary. It's a pretty lady, though.
He's got soulful eyes. Like, that's the thing. And then you realize, you're like, oh, I'm staring at a man with someone else's severed skin on top
I
of
do
his
like
face.
today, I was mentioning to Autumn that when you and Wendy were doing the tour, that Wendy had said, oh, you can see he just got doing his business. I was like, he's a murderer. He was murdering Wendy.
He's killing people.
You can say murdering. Murder.
Yes, but that'll be a great time. The event continues tomorrow. There's still time to register today, but that cutoff will probably be very soon. So go to side.show/NYCC for your last chance to register for our event. We will see you guys soon. Don't forget to go to side.show/yourLCS as
join
well.
us.
That is our Facebook group. That is where we continue the conversation outside of our once-a-month show with special exceptions for events. And that is when you'll have your best chance to get the schedule from us. We're also talking about what we pick up during the week, any questions that might occur to you, like, hey, if I want to read more John Constantine, where should I look? And there's lots of great discussions going on. It's a really friendly place, lots of really cool people, and the group is growing, and we need your help to get it there. So side.show/yourLCS. And that does it for today's episode of the Comics Hall. We're clocking in under 50 minutes. I'm going to take that as a win.
We did it.
Side.show/NYCC for all the events this week. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And as always, I'm Amy.
And I'm Paul.
And this has been the Comics Hall. And Rob, get in here. Rob, get in here.
Hurry up, Rob.
Bye, guys. We'll see you next time.